tell anybody it's awesome to be in this job, having spent 31 years in the back of a 911 ambulance, and then being able to retire and then come to this type of job where you still get to give back a little bit, but you really see on a daily basis what donors do, how lives are changed and literally saved on a daily basis because of organ donors. It's a really terrible feeling to hear something like that when you have a perfectly healthy son who all of a sudden doesn't start to feel good and you don't know why, and you do some investigation, you ultimately find out that he has a disease in both kidneys that's going to eventually stop kidney function. So then you start thinking, the first question was, well, what do we do? And they basically said there's nothing they could do other than wait it out until we looked around for a kidney for transplant. One of my drivers, Brian Zander, his wife Kelly Kramer Zander, actually wanted to be tested, and because we'd had a number of people be tested, I unfortunately could not test because I'd already lost one kidney to cancer, so I can certainly talk to what it's like living with one kidney. But then when Kelly got tested and the surgeon called me up that was going to do the transplant, and he said, who's this Kelly? And I said, well, she's a really good friend of ours, a good friend of Bo's. And he said, well, she's our new best friend because she has 4 genetic markers, which is like winning the lottery, quite honestly. So when you think about one human giving an organ that they certainly can do without giving that, and that literally saves a life, because if you don't get it, and you go down the other road, you may, I mean, people pass away every single day in this country, many of them, because people don't donate. So the feeling of relief and the bond that we have with Kelly, which we had a very strong bond before, but now it's completely changed. The feeling of helping somebody in the back of an ambulance is a good feeling. The feeling of having a save is a great feeling, but I can't imagine the feeling of giving a kidney. I couldn't do it. I would have done it, but I couldn't have done it. But I can't imagine how good she feels every single day, because a lot of people say it, but Kelly did it. The biggest misconception, I think, is that their person is somehow going to be hurt by donation. That's just purely and simply not the case. Those donated patients that end up donating end-of-life organs are taken care of just like any other patient in the OR. When the surgery is done at funeral, there's no way to ever tell that happened, ever. There's no way you'd ever know it. The biggest problem with organ donation that I see in all 50 states is educating the public. You put the little dot on your driver's license or whatever your state says so that you're a potential donor, but technically you're not a registered donor. So if you really have it in your heart to be a donor, then register. Get on the registry in your state. It does a couple of things. It speeds up the process, number one, because there's so many critical patients waiting for kidneys, especially kidneys. And then it also takes all of that decision-making and heartache out of your family's hands. End-of-life donors, they're going to take what they get as best they can and match up as best they can for the recipients. They look around in the computer for the best possible recipient. But when you do living donor, they can nail it right down. And there's no such thing as a perfect match, but the closer you get, the longer that graft is going to last, the longer that kidney is going to last. My son could have this kidney well over 25 years, 30 years. We have fire department open houses up here in Wisconsin, and my granddaughter, who is now 14, sits at that table that we put up for organ donation. But when people come through and ask questions about it, then she won't just give them the card and say, go ahead and get your dot. She will actually get them registered right there on the spot, which takes about 4 minutes. So it's not a big deal, just do it. Get registered, absolutely get registered. That will take it off your plate. You don't have to think about it anymore. It takes it off the family's plate as well. It's so important for people, if you have the time and the wherewithal. Kelly went into surgery when we went in on a Tuesday. She went back to work that Friday, not the following Friday, and she was a hospice RN, still is. Having one kidney, I just don't really notice it at all, I would have to say. I don't. I haven't stopped doing or changed my lifestyle in any way, shape, or form since I lost that kidney, and that was 22 years ago. So get out there and do it. Sign up, please.